Welcome into Inside the Pack. With me, as always, is Dan Webster. I'm Michael Wazinski. And, Dan, a lot to talk about after this past weekend's games against the only other team in the league with ice in their name. That is the Fairbanks Ice Dogs. Just came to the Outpost Ice Arenas for their very first time. These two teams won't meet again until January 17th and 18th out in Fairbanks, Alaska, which will also kick off basically the Alaska trip, as people call it, as the Ice Wolves will, after that week against the Ice Dogs, will go up and face the Kenai River Brown Bears. They'll be out in Alaska, basically the coldest time to be there as well, middle of January for nearly 2 weeks. But talking about this past weekend, it was Day of the Dead weekend here at the Outpost Ice Arenas. We had Grupo Fiesta Mariachi performing on Friday. One of them sang the national anthem. We had special merchandise as well. We're sitting here in the pro shop, and we still have hats here as well. I saw a lot of people wearing that and the T-shirts, so make sure you look for that further. I believe we're still going to be carrying it in the Outpost, and we are developing the website now for online merchandise. So stay tuned on our social media pages for any updates in regards to that. But again, we go back, and I digress here for a second, but we go back to...
It's easily done.
We go back to this Friday's game, and, it was a close matchup. That marked the second straight time, Dan, that the Ice Wolves lost by a final of 2-1. It was really a nail-biter. The lone goal scorer for the Ice Wolves was Spencer Rudrud. There was a goal scored each period. Unfortunately, that game winner came shorthanded in the third period off of a Fairbanks Ice Dog stick with just a second or two left on the Ice Wolves' man advantage. But then the following night, it was an 8-3 win for the Fairbanks Ice Dogs, a game in which Griffin Sanum, Brant Pedersen, and Emil Gabrielson all scored for the Ice Wolves. Emil's goal actually came against Keaton French in the third period. That was a power play goal. French got his first ever chance at the NAHL level after jumping in for about 5 minutes to replace Matthias Scholl, who played both games like Graziano did. They just wanted to rest him up, and there was no need. Obviously, the game was over at that point. It was 8-2 with time winding down in the third. But they put French in. He went. The Ice Wolves went 1 for 2 on him. So the 17-year-old rookie, again, got to have a short memory. But, Dan, what were your thoughts on these past two games for the Ice Wolves?
Well, Friday night and Saturday night were like night and day. Friday night was clearly a very close game. You had a really strong, experienced team. They'd won the Robertson Cup 3 times in the last 9 years. It was a really strong Ice Dogs team that came in, and yet the lineups that Coach Phil Fox had put together, the new defensive matchups, all of that on Friday night really seemed to click. And so it was a really tight game all the way through. It could have gone either way. It was that late goal on Friday night that was just heartbreaking when Luke Scioli from the Ice Dogs was able to get a shorthanded goal, which meant obviously there was a breakdown in defense, but the main, I think, for me, the story of the weekend was Josh Graziano.
Oh, absolutely. He actually just got honorable mention for this past week for, you could say, Players of the Week. He was also submitted as one of his saves for Plays of the Week, so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out for him. But he set a career high in saves on Friday with 48. He
with
saw
50 shots on goal.
50, and the following night he saw 40. Unfortunately, there were a few that went that didn't go his way. That obviously he would love to have back, but he got 32 saves that night. I mean, 80 saves on 90 shots. What a remarkable goaltender Josh Graziano is. So we can't say how excited we are to see him progress throughout this season.
He really has been remarkable and has really kept the Ice Wolves in games that otherwise could have been blowouts. He's been the the really standout portion of this team. The defense in front of him has got to be doing more work. They've got to be doing more practice and get into the game better.
Well, you talk about the fact that, without him, or maybe without even his remarkable saves that he makes every single time he starts or is out there for the Ice Wolves, that Friday game could have been a different score as well. They had a few opportunities on Graziano, a few breakout plays. Again, 50 shots. Graziano saved 48, a career high for him in the North American Hockey League. And, without some of those remarkable saves, it could have been a high-scoring affair both nights. But, again, they were able to stay within one goal on Friday. It was just those turnovers on that blue line. And the shorthanded one, too, was, if had that not happened, it's a 1-1 game and, a very tight contest going forward.
Yeah, and I look at that Friday game, and the Ice Wolves only had. I look at that Friday game, and the Ice Wolves only had 9 shots on goal in the first period, and yet they came back and had 28 in the for the full game, and that was a pretty good showing. That was a pretty good showing in going up against that bigger and heavier team and more experienced team that they did. The Ice Dogs were clearly beatable. That was the thing, I think, that if there was anything that this team could come away with, is they could score on Matthias Scholl, who was one of the best goalies in the league. They could score on him, and I hope that the players took that away from the game, that they could indeed score on such a good goalie. So I saw some good things. I saw some defensive breakdowns. We're just going to have to wait and see, what practices this week will bring them to face the number 1 team in the South Division, the Topeka Pilots, who are coming in this Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, they're coming in with a really good record. They are currently sitting with 13 wins, but they got 5 regulation losses and then 1 loss in OT and a shootout loss to boot. So 28 points, though. They're 1 point ahead of the Lone Star Brahmas, who we always talk about. That turning point game for them was the matinee game at home, that 3 p.m. game. Really turned things around for the Ice Wolves. They started producing a lot more goals throughout. They haven't been shut out since that game 1 against Odessa. They unfortunately, it was a lopsided game, obviously, this past Saturday. But that first game against Shreveport, it was 6-3 final. But they came back the next night, answered, got one, kept it. It was a 2-1 loss for them, unfortunately. But they were able to answer and keep the scoring on the opposition down low, which is, again, a testament to the coaching staff here for the Ice Wolves. But they are going to be going up against the best team in the South Division for the very first time this season. So brand new team as well, new faces out there, new playing style. It's not going to be like Fairbanks where they're going to put a little glamour into it. Topeka's going to be a little physical, but they have a lot of vets on their team. They are going to obviously be a force to reckon with during this season. But you look at their goals for, goals against, Stan, and this is something we should touch on a little bit. Their goals for, goals against is only a +3 differential, and that is something that I really look into a lot, because I think it's fascinating to see that a team that is 13-5-1-1 is barely above 500 in goals for, goals against. They have 48 goals for through 20 games played, 45 goals against through that margin as well. So they are a team that they don't blow anybody out of the water, but they also don't get blown out themselves. They are a team, it's going to be a nail-biting contest. It might be low-scoring affair, or it might be really high-scoring, but I can tell you this, that if the Ice Wolves can keep it close, they'll have a really good chance at least securing their first home ice win.
And it's going to depend upon what kind of matchups we see that the coach Phil Fox and associate head coach Keenan Kelly are going to put together for us. This is going to be a tough team. There's no question. They're not in first place for just because they've been hanging around. They're in first place because they score, but they also have as you say, a lot of goals against. So they're clearly not invincible, and I would hope that that's the message that the coaches are bringing to the players. This team is beatable.
They really are. And honestly, the Ice Wolves can go up against anybody in the South Division and have a great chance at winning. It's just a matter of maybe receiving a little puck luck. They've went up against a few teams that, it just seemed to basically fall in the opposition's lap. They were scoring left and right. They had some pucks go in off of our own players and whatnot, and that's the type of luck that maybe sometimes you need to start getting on the winning streak again. The Ice Wolves go to 0-4 now after their 2 losses against the Ice Dogs. Fairbanks now goes to 4-0. They swept Amarillo 2 weekends ago. Now they just swept the Ice Wolves this past weekend. But when we look ahead, there's so much to talk about, but a really good thing that we're going to be working on this weekend will be student weekend, and really making sure we can bring out the crowd for this weekend, really energize the Ice Wolves in hopes for their first ever home ice win, and maybe even more as well. It would be nice to get their first sweep ever in their inaugural season against the best team in the South Division. But they are, again, the main thing we have to work on is getting students out. Friday's going to be college night, so you get in with your college ID again at a regular price. Tickets are only on ice tickets. That college students would love that. High school students as well. You get as close as you can to the action. Skate around as well during intermission. Only $10 for that. $12.50 for reserve bleacher seating. Chairbacks are $12.50 or chairbacks are $25 and change. But a big thing to mention is that with your student ID, you can get a fountain drink and a burger or sandwich. They both come with fries for $5, or a pizza and a fountain drink for $5. That applies to both Friday for college night and Saturday for high school student night. Again, we know UNM has their football game at noon. They got a men's basketball game at 7 on Saturday, so we look to switch that up. High school football is a big thing around here on Friday. So that's why we have those nights. Again, college night Friday, this coming Friday, the 8th, and then the 9th will be high school night. Again, make sure you have your ID present with you, purchase a ticket, but make sure you come in, you get a meal for $5. You can't beat that deal.
No, absolutely. So if any of you who are listening know any college students or high school students that would like to see an exciting game, hockey is the fastest game on earth. There's no question. One of the reasons that I've liked it, and I've said this on the Hockey TV broadcast, is because it goes from offense to defense in the blink of an eye, and you will be watching the team the action going in one direction on the ice, and then just immediately it's going in the other direction because the puck possession has changed. So. Get the word out to your friends who might be in college or in high school, and tell them that they can get a discount in the food at the grill, and come see a great sport.
It was great atmosphere this past weekend. We had a sellout on Saturday. We were nearly there on Friday. We've had a few sellouts already this season, especially a home opening weekend here at the Outpost Ice Arenas, but we're looking for more as well. And I know, I get it that we're in the midst of a 5-week home stretch here on home ice, and a lot of people are thinking about what to do, and if you ever are bored on a weekend, or you feel like maybe you've kind of done it all, come out to an Ice Wolves game. And even if you have before, I guarantee you we're always looking to do something new every single home game. Try to energize the fans, keep the on ice activities fresh, and try to just engage the community here. We're also trying to do a lot of stuff throughout the week with the players, get them out to local places as well, get their names out there, get the logo out there so people are familiar with it, because the mariachi band that came on Friday, all 3 of them said that they've never seen a hockey game before. They had to duck out before the end of the game. But when I got to interview Al Munez during the first period intermission, he said they were raving about it when they were watching. After they performed and did their thing in the lobby and did the anthem, they got to sit and watch the game, and I got a chance to catch up with them off air as well. And the guy that sang the anthem said that he has never been to a game, but he wants to come back for more. So, and that's the biggest thing. You want that attention. You're always going to get, the few hundred people that will always come and watch hockey, but you're always trying to get that few extra that have never seen a game and maybe have always stuck to basketball or football, but they're missing out on the greatest sport on earth.
It is infectious. It really is infectious when you start watching it, and you get infected by the crowd around you because they're really exciting. And one thing about hockey fans, if you don't know what's happening and you're sitting next to somebody who's a stranger, they will be more than happy to tell you what icing is or what offsides is. They'll be more than happy to help you understand what's going on the ice. There's nothing better than hockey fans. They will. If you're new, don't be bashful. Say, now what was that for? Somebody will tell you.
I think it's amazing to see all of the jerseys represented at the games. I mean, I've been around hockey rinks my entire life. I worked in this league with a different team last season, announced for the college that I went to for 4 years, and I've never seen a rink, obviously as cool as this one, with the cool loop. Again, that's where your on-ice tickets will be at in the curling tunnels, and then skate around during intermission or even during play. But I think the best thing that I see from our broadcast perspective is seeing everybody with unique jerseys, not even just NHL jerseys. I saw a Doug Glatt jersey from the movie Goon. I've seen Mighty Ducks movies. I've seen Flyers jerseys. I've seen all sorts of jerseys, a lot of Gretzky jerseys, all sorts of types, from every league that you can think of. And we are starting to work on getting Ice Wolves jerseys out, so hopefully we have that to you available before Christmas time. I think a timetable for that was right around early December or so. So look for that right before the holidays. It's going to make a great gift for a loved one.
Yeah, I had several notices on social media, on Facebook and elsewhere, asking, where can I get a jersey? So if you were one of those people who sent me a message on Facebook or a comment on Facebook, hopefully it's going to be next month in time for Christmas. But I also had there was one person who said to me in a comment when I posted the picture on my Facebook page of the and I tagged New Mexico Ice Wolves and tagged Outpost so that people who subscribe to those pages would also see it. This woman said that she's coming this Saturday night for the first time. And she said, "Can I get a Dia de los Muertos T-shirt in the shop?" And I said, "Well, it looks like there's very few hanging here, so you might want to call in and ask, because you might want to come in before Saturday, because we had such a run on the merchandise on Friday and Saturday night that if you really want your better selection, you might want to come in during the week this week. They're open from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So come into the pro shop before the game. That's going to be probably before game day, so that you can have your pick of the merchandise that's there. There are plenty of caps. You may need you may need to try to squeeze into either a smaller size T-shirt or maybe drench yourself in a larger size T-shirt. I don't know, but be sure to take advantage of.
I'm always looking for a nightgown.
Yeah. Well, you get one of those triple XLs. You just never know.
Well, yeah, that one of the many great things about the pro shop here. Again, that's where we do the podcast at every week on Monday. Sorry for this being a little late getting out, but that's a great asset to this not only arena but to the community. There's not many pro shops in the state of New Mexico that carry ice hockey gear, and this
and
is
figure skating gear.
Exactly.
And,
all sorts of, not even just Ice Wolves apparel. They got CCM, they got Bauer, they got tons of Howie's hockey tape stuff as well. And there's just so many different things. They got tons of skates and sticks and mini hockey sticks for the kids and tons of fun stuff here. They're getting beanies in. They have blade shades. They also have a little ice wolf that fans throw out whenever we score a goal, and you can see that in here. So that it's kind of all tying in to the community, trying to make this logo represent Albuquerque as a whole. And I think a lot of people I'm seeing people come in during a weekday into the pro shop asking for Ice Wolves apparel, asking just generic stuff about the arena that because they've never been here before, but they've maybe seen somebody else wearing it and they got word of mouth, and that's huge as well. That word of mouth is obviously free, but it's the best way to get across a message.
Well, if you've never been to the Outpost Ice Arenas, it's right at the top of Tramway right before the turnoff to go to the tram. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that it's the most beautiful setting of a hockey arena in the NAHL. It sits right at the base of the Sandia Mountains. It is absolutely gorgeous. There are 2 sheets of ice here that are connected by curling tunnels so that you'll see a sign out in front that says the Cool Loop, because when there's no hockey game going on, you can actually skate around the entire circumference of both sheets going through the curling tunnels. So it's a unique place to visit. It's a unique place to watch hockey. Especially, I don't know of any other arena in hockey anywhere that allows you to get on skates, watch the game through the glass in the corners where the Cool Loop ends during the hockey game, during the Ice Wolves games. And then, as Mike said earlier, you can skate around during intermission. It's a really unique hockey experience. So I can't sell it enough. You really should come and experience it yourself.
Well, you'll have a chance this weekend, Dan, because again, we got home games once again for the 3rd consecutive weekend here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This time, though, we'll be going up against the Topeka Pilots. The very first time the Ice Wolves and the Pilots will face one another this season. And again, it marks, the first of many meetings, obviously, throughout what hopes to be a long tenure in the NAHL for the Ice Wolves. But this weekend will obviously set the tone for how the rest of this homestand is going to go. After the Topeka Pilots, we're going to see the Amarillo Bulls. After them, we're going to see the Lone Star Brahmas. But when we see the Amarillo Bulls, we'll be wearing our away jerseys, allowing fans the chance to see them on home ice. Again, they are the black jerseys that everybody was raving about. In my opinion, they are the cleaner, and the kids are calling it fire, so they are the most fire of the 2 jerseys. But they just stand out and they pop. They make that logo just really sharp, and I'm looking forward to calling it, next weekend, seeing Amarillo. They'll probably be wearing most likely their home whites or so, and we'll be wearing, again, our away blacks, but we are calling it Blackout Weekend at the Outpost. What we mean by that is that we want everybody to be wearing black. If you have a Dia de los Muertos shirt, bring that. If you have a Ice Wolves black hoodie, bring that. If you have a black Ice Wolves hat, bring that. We want everybody decked out in Ice Wolves gear. We are working to get shirts made for that weekend and to get apparel made for that weekend to sell it for those that come to the rink and maybe don't have anything Ice Wolves in black. And hopefully, and again, that is also when I believe we will start be taking orders for the jerseys as well. It's going to be around that timetable, but that will be kind of our kind of a little tease for the fans, in attendance and on Hockey TV.
All of this is an effort to really just maximize your experience as a fan, to be able to come in and celebrate this game in different and exciting ways. And that logo, which I think is really unique, I just love the Ice Wolves logo. It really does pop on black, because here in the pro shop you can see some pullovers that are black that have the logo, and it just stands out. So this is an opportunity for you, not this weekend, but the following weekend against the Amarillo Bulls, Blackout Weekend, to wear something black, and hopefully it'll be black with the logo of the New Mexico Ice Wolves on it.
Well, joining us very shortly is Emil Gabrielson. He will be our player interview for Inside the Pack podcast, episode number 4. Dan, let's touch on how he's been playing thus far with the Ice Wolves. He came from the Maryland Black Bears. He only had a few games under his belt here at the NAHL level. He is a Swedish-born player. He's got tons of tons of stats on him over in the Swedish leagues, but what have you seen out of his game? He now leads the team in goals with 4. He surpassed Alex Dominique this past weekend. He's got 3 in an Ice Wolves jersey. Dan, what are your thoughts on number 18, Emil Gabrielson?
Very impressive. He's a big kid, not afraid to use his weight. He can throw his weight around. Nobody's going to knock him off his skates, that's for sure. He's a strong forward. He is a leader out there on the ice. We've heard other players say, I want to lead by example. Well, Emil Gabrielson leads by example.
Well, you're exactly right, Dan. I mean, he is just a force to be reckoned out there on the first line. He centers it. To his left for this past weekend was Philip Ekberg, and to his right was Spencer Rudrud. So that was a great matchup. That line actually was able to produce a goal this past weekend. So that was a huge success for them as well. But again, Emil Gabrielson, 6 foot, 212 pounds, centerman. Like you were saying, he's a big body guy. Not necessarily one of the tallest players on the team. We have a lot of guys around 6 foot or so. But a guy, low 200s or so. He's got a lot of muscle mass on him, and you're not going to be able to really push him around too often.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just got a low center of gravity, but he just looks bigger on the ice than 6 feet. And I know skates add, a couple inches, but still, he's hefty. He's strong. He's the kind of player that is going to make things happen. And if he isn't going to get a goal, he's going to get an assist. He's that kind of player.
Joining us on Inside the Pack is Emil Gabrielson. And Emil, thank you so much for joining me on Inside the Pack here for your first ever time.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Dan Webster, the color guy, he actually had to leave. He was in a bit of a hurry today. He had some other plans going on. Mm-hmm. So it's just you and me here for the interview portion of our podcast. And Emil, you had a goal this weekend. Why don't you talk to some of the fans listening on Inside the Pack about that goal?
So power play goal. We have had some trouble with the power play, so it was nice to get a goal in power play. I think, if I remember right, the puck went their way on the face-off, but we were strong on the puck, so we won it back. And I just went to my spot, got a good pass from Ruddy, I think, and just ripped it just hard on the net, and it
right
went
on
in.
The brand new goaltender Keaton French too.
Okay.
They swapped goalies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they put it was number 35 who was in net Friday and then Saturday until they scored their 8th goal, and then 17-year-old Keaton French, from one of the 8 players from Alaska on the Fairbanks team, played in his very first NHL action. That was his first time, playing at this level in between the pipes. He only played for about 5 minutes, but he went 1 for 2. He only saw 2 shots, and you were able to get one past him. So that, obviously he's going to have a short memory going forward. But going up against, you came out of Maryland. You had a few games with them. You had a long career out in Sweden, playing with a few different clubs and leagues. But you've seen a lot of South Division action since you came with the New Mexico Ice Wolves from the East Division. Now you just saw the Fairbanks Ice Dogs, a team from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Talk about their play style versus any team from the South.
So far, I think the South hockey is more puck possession, hitting, just being in the right spot, be above guys. And I think Fairbanks was more like a fast team. Not as big as, like, the guys weren't as big as the guys we met on the South teams. And I think the East, is it the East Division?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like in between both, like, big guys and skilled fast. So Yeah, I think the South Division is skilled, big guys, a lot of hitting, puck possession. So yeah.
One thing that drawed attention to me from basically puck drop on Friday was that Fairbanks was was almost looking for those redirects in front. They
Yeah.
always had a guy trying to get a tip on the puck. You don't see that too often with teams like Shreveport or Lone
No.
Star. It's more they're going to try to pin you up against the boards or hit you hard and then try to go,
Yeah.
on an odd man rush.
Yeah, so they were kind of like small guys, really fast guys. So they were going around in the zone, had good puck possession, good passes, tape to tapes. So when you have that and good like movement and finding good ice, like when you find ice to be on, it's easy to like find blades to for redirections and tips, and so I think that's because they were fast. They were like going to the net hard. So yeah, that's their advantage, I think. Yeah.
And this weekend, you guys go up against the Topeka Pilots, the
Mhm.
best team in the South Division. They have 13 wins under their belt. They're at 28 points. You guys are in 7th, and obviously you had a very close game on Friday,
Mhm.
that 2-1, and then there was even that close game last Saturday against Shreveport. That was also a 2-1 loss, but
Mhm.
obviously this past Saturday was a little different and a little more lopsided. But
Yeah.
what is it going to take from you guys to secure your first home ice win? It's going to be a very tough opponent, the Topeka Pilots.
Yeah, so I think it's just details, the details in the defensive zone. First of all, get the puck out clean, tape-to-tape passes, good first pass, and then just go hard, long, be in the offensive zone as long as you can, create chances, shoot the puck, and yeah, just play a solid game, 60 minutes, with like good details, and don't like no giveaways at all.
This is a kind of a sidetrack question.
Mhm.
You were about to leave with Spencer Rudrud after practice. I caught you before you left,
Yes.
so I could do this quick interview with you for
Yeah.
the podcast. But as he left, I guess
Yep.
he was your ride. You guys, everybody carpools kind of.
Yeah, he lives pretty close to me, so
Okay.
he's been picking me up. Nice guy.
After he left,
Yeah.
Philip Ekberg came up,
Yep.
your Swedish buddy,
Yep.
also Maryland buddy as well.
Yes.
You, as we were walking to the pro shop,
Yeah.
we were basically in the lobby area, and you were talking to him in Swedish. It was a quick transition. Again, you're from Sweden, so obviously that's your main language.
Yeah.
And I said to you, your English is very good.
Thank you.
Obviously you can denote the accent
Mhm.
when you speak English, but and same with Ekberg, his is a little heavier than yours. But I would say, when you guys are out there playing, this is
Mhm.
a question for you.
Oh yeah.
Do you when you guys obviously communicate at best you can with the
Yeah.
noise level and everything,
Yeah.
where somebody's at, or hey, I'm open and stuff like that, do you talk to Ekberg in English or Swedish?
So it's kind of funny because sometimes it's in Swedish and sometimes it's in English because I don't know, like, if it's fast and we're against the boards and I don't really know, like, who I have beside me.
Yeah.
I usually talk in English because I don't know, like, who's there. So, but if I have the chance, I'm talking to him in Swedish on the ice too. Actually, yeah, it's easier to, like, the stuff you say on the ice. It's easier to say it in Swedish because it's faster. Like, it's comes off the tongue faster, I guess. Yeah.
And I'm sure that confuses the other team as well.
Might do, yeah. So it might be in our advantage, actually. Yeah.
What is it about that top line? I mean, obviously Frisk was not with you guys this weekend, and that one game last weekend against Shreveport. But Rudrud stepped up a lot. He, like you said, he hit that one goal over this past weekend, and he was just he's been a nice asset to that top line between you and Ekberg. What is it like, with obviously line changes happen all the time, and the shifting of players and chemistry. But what is it like? You and Ekberg have been playing together for a while, but what is it like to have Rudrud on the line now, and to see what you guys were able to do this past weekend?
No, I think it's been like really nice to have him on the line. He's a hard worker. He can shoot the puck and make good passes. So me and Philip we're happy to have him on the line. I think we created a lot of chances. We just have to put the puck in the net, so we can win the games. Like if we score on our chances, we would have like at least 4 goals on the boards. Like so, yeah. So I think it's been nice. And then Frisky was really good too. He stood up for himself really well. Don't remember what team we played, but he stood up for himself, and hope he's back soon with his hand injury. So, but it's been nice. Both of those guys are really good, and happy to play with them. Yep.
When you saw Josh Graziano make all those remarkable saves in net, I mean, what's that like coming from you guys, knowing that he's doing everything he can? You saw 90 shots this weekend, stopped 80 of them. What's that like coming from, somebody offensively?
Yeah. So, of course, it's like a good comfort because he's good in the net. So we know he's always there to perform. But it's also like kind of like embarrassing in one way because we let them shoot so many pucks and let them be in our zone so much. So the D and the forwards and the centers have to like be better to help Gross in the goal because he's always performing on a high level. So we have to do that in the D zone too.
One of the biggest things I notice about your game is just the ability that you and Ekberg have, that connection. I mean, he loves the slap shot. I don't think there's a chance. I know you're chuckling about it, but on the power play, it seems like he just loves letting it rip. But in terms
he should do it. Yeah,
he's got a great shot.
Yes,
and as do you. And but when you guys are 5-on-5 action, you always seem to be open at the right place at the right time, and he's able to feed that to you. Is that just something natural between you two? You've spent some time with one another over the past few seasons. So what's that like for you to just know that, when you're out there with him, he, whether you're speaking English or Swedish, he's finding you.
Yeah, so it's nice to have him on the line. He's I think we like see the ice pretty similar. Both of us wants to be, if we let the puck go, if we pass it away, we wanna get new ice, clear ice to be on. So I just think we have the similar mindset to the game. Wants to shoot the puck, we wanna create chances. So we're just looking for each other. I know he has a great shot. I think he knows that I like to shoot too. So it's a good combo, I guess. Yeah.
This will be my last question for you. You are the centerman for that first line. How do you work on your face-off draws during practice? How do you? I mean, I've noticed a lot about how you like to take the draw, and we don't track that, unfortunately. Face-off wins and stuff like that. But I'd say you keep it even. If not, you sometimes are able to gain the edge on the opposition. So what is that about your game that you can attest to? I mean, what do you do during practice to be better on face-off draws?
Yeah, so of course we practice face-offs in practice to be better. It's a good way to gain possession of the puck right off the face-off. So it's an important part of the game, and if you can mix up with different routines or whatever. Like after the face-off, if we win, it's it's an opportunity to score every time if we win the face-off, especially in the O-zone. So it's an important part of the game, and I try to practice face-off as much as I can, and try to have a good high percentage of wins. And as I said, it's in this game you have to have possession of the puck, and that's the way to go, right off the face-off to get the puck with a win. Yeah.
Well, exactly, Emil, and
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I've never played the position, so I wouldn't know, but you keep doing your thing out there on the ice, and
Yep.
things will start to click. You guys are obviously, you're now getting on the scoreboard, ever since that Lone Star series, that weekend series in Lone Star. That was an unfortunate 2-game loss for you guys, but that matinee game against Lone Star on Sunday was a nail biter. It was 3-1. In Odessa, it was a very close Friday game. I mean, you Frisk and Ekberg, you were 14, 16 seconds into the first period, and you hit the post with the shot. So you guys are starting.
Don't remind me.
I'm sorry, but you guys are starting to really develop that offensive pressure.
Yeah.
Compared to I know you weren't with the team since day one, but it has been completely change of scenery here with the offensive pressure. You guys are getting now not just only 1 goal on the board, you're getting 3 goals on the board. So it will come, obviously, some growing pains, I'm sure, throughout this inaugural season. But Emil, thank you so much for joining me. Not only myself, but with Dan and everybody listening to the podcast on YouTube, looks forward to seeing you play. I know I'm a big fan of your style of game, and how you are so fluid on the ice, and you and Ekberg, and whether it's Frisk or Rudrud on the first line, just a great connection between all 4 of you out there. We look forward to seeing what you guys can do this weekend against Topeka Pilots. So thank you so much for joining me on the Inside the Pack podcast, episode number 4.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for tuning in to Inside the Pack. I know, obviously, Dan had to step away for that interview with Emil Gabrielson, but for Emil Gabrielson, Dan Webster, and myself, again, thank you so much for constantly tuning in to Inside the Pack. We all really appreciate all the listeners. Please give it a like, maybe even a comment as well, what your favorite segment has been thus far. We hope to see you this weekend at the Outpost Ice Arenas. Friday, Saturday, games against the Topeka Pilots. Again, college night on Friday, high school night on Saturday. So make sure you come to the Outpost Ice Arenas to see your Ice Wolves take on the Topeka Pilots for the first time this season.